Welcome to the IVM Podcast Network.
All right, please note that the language and ideas presented on the show might not be suitable for everyone. If you're under 18, make sure your mom isn't around. If you're over 80, why is your mom around?
You're listening to Cyrus Says.
Vishal Shah is the founder and CEO of Haute Chef. And he's going to give us special discount, special season rate, as well as special delivery. Wearing no clothes.
Why follow your auntie's advice when you can follow Cyrus Says on Facebook and Twitter to stay updated about the latest shows?
Okay, it's called Cyrus Says, and now it's time to discuss soup manners. My wife has stopped talking to me for the last 3 days, which is a good thing, primarily because I make sounds while eating soup. But let me just say, 80% of the world slurps their soup. She thinks it's disgusting and gets very offended and said this is the last straw, never again. My point is the way they charge us in Chinese restaurants nowadays. My crab and corn soup cost me 575 rupees for a little bit like that. I should be allowed to make slurpy sounds, spit in it, roll it in my face, rub it and wash myself with it, use it for shampoo, do whatever the hell I want. Alright? Slurping is here to stay and we will fight you oppressors. It's called Cyrus Says.
And that's what Cyrus says.
Okay, yeah, and Cyrus Says, food is our favorite subject. Visually, you can tell that has a certain appeal to many of us. And we do have someone very interesting from the world of food. His name is Vishal Shah. Vishal means large, and food should be large. But Vishal himself is quite fit, unfortunately. But he's working on that. Vishal Shah is the founder and CEO of Haute Chef. And is that the right way to pronounce it, Vishal?
Well, I would ideally like
in Marathi we say Haute.
Haute, exactly. And the French way is obviously Haute Chef, but...
Oh, just say it again?
Haute Chef.
We're teaching people here, man.
Yeah, exactly. But
Haute Chef. So why do they bother with the H? What's wrong with the French?
I don't know.
Why put an extra letter there if you're not going to say it? I mean, that's like pneumonia. I think pneumonia, more people fainted because of the spelling.
Right.
It's just a waste of time. I'm sorry about that, but Haute Chef is the actual term. And you're an avid foodie, obviously. I'll just give a little look into your background, which we have. We have a research team of 40 young men under the age of 9 who sit every day and crunch numbers for us and get us things. And apparently, you were, if we go back into your life, you were working with a multinational bank for over a decade, which is a long time to suddenly change careers.
Absolutely. Yeah.
After 10 years.
I think it was a little bit too late, but the self-realization happened that
Or was it the recession which said you make more money selling a hot dog?
Did survive the recession, thankfully.
You survived the recession and then put in your papers?
Then put in my papers.
Amazing.
So maybe I'm just more stupid than everybody around me, but we'll see.
We'll see. I don't think that is true. You've already made more money than Bank of America. I can tell you that. Goldman Sachs is calling every day. Okay, we will go back into your life, but let's start at the beginning, which is where we are right now. Just give us a vaguely it says it's a unique meal kit concept built around incredible cooking experiences. Why don't you elaborate?
Absolutely. So what Chef really is it's a meal kit where we send labeled, measured ingredients that come with step-by-step instructions. So everything that you need to prepare a meal, let's say you want to cook a wild mushroom risotto, everything right from the 2 tablespoons of olive oil to 50 grams of mascarpone cheese.
Why can't I just download that from the net?
You can download the recipe from the internet, absolutely. But what about the ingredients? Think about going grocery shopping, going to one of these...
So you're far more detailed is what you're saying.
Far more detailed, and you don't have to worry about food wastage. You don't have to worry about, hey, what am I going to do with that other 350 grams of imported Italian cheese that has a 10-day shelf life and I have to use it?
Why did they do that with cheese, man? That's so wrong. Couldn't they come up with some way to preserve it so that we don't have to throw it away?
True, I guess that's the idea.
I tell you, the Europeans have to blame themselves for recession. They just waste. We can feed Bangladesh on the cheese that Italy has wasted.
I completely agree.
Although we shouldn't. But sorry to interrupt you, but coming back to the whole concept, so let's understand this meal kit it's like a one-shop stop.
It's
everything from what you need
everything
to how you do.
To how you do. There are step-by-step detailed instructions. So in a way, it's cooking for dummies as well. You've not spent too much time in the kitchen. Don't worry.
Vishal, don't say that. They take offense. Indians are very sensitive.
I know.
Now say Bharat Mata ki Jai quickly to save the day.
Mata ki Jai. I start my day with that.
Please do that.
I read the newspapers and I'm like, I better start my day with that.
It solves lots of problems, brother. Just say that and get on with it. Don't worry.
True that.
Yeah.
But it's the whole idea behind this concept was a multitude of reasons. One, the way Indians are getting more experimental with their food choices. We're traveling traveling to exotic locations. We are being
exposed.
Exposed to...
Not to mention the Europeans are working here because there's no work there.
No work there, absolutely.
Probably in your kitchen as we speak. Francois. Haute chef. So what's the opposite of haute chef? Is it cold chef? Sorry. So the philosophy is based also on the French phrase, and please may I say it right, mise en place.
Exactly, mise en place, which is basically
mise en place. Sorry,
which is something that all restaurateurs across the world follow. What it means simply is just prepping the ingredients so that so you start your day with the prep for the day, and then when an actual order comes in, which in our case is the actual cooking, everything is kept on a platter, so you're not hunting for, hey, do I really have that red wine vinegar that I wanted? And then you realize, oh no, now I go look for a substitute. So everything is ready in a box or at a place, chopped and kept ready for you, so that the whole cooking process becomes basically fast, fun and easy.
Could I go on to haute chef and can I ask for a unusual dish which you then will resource and get back to me? Is that also possible?
We're not doing customizations at this point.
But why not, Vishal? I want to feel special.
So you look at our menu, and every single dish on our menu will either remind you of a travel experience that you've had.
Do you have Sali Paridu?
We have a version of that. So we have Chef Ranveer Brar, who is, I'm sure everybody knows.
What kind of Punjabi knows how to make Parsi food? Anyway, we'll give him a check. We'll give him a test. So
we do have some of these artisanal Indian kits where we are doing an exotic twist on that. So like we did a Rajasthani casserole which had the Kher Sangri but in a casserole format. So we're trying to experiment with a lot of these things in a unique way, just because, again, as I said, we as customers are getting so experimental with the kind of food we want to eat, and the places that we're visiting, we're getting more exposed to authentic cuisines, being able to distinguish between them.
Okay, and it's mentioned here that you have 14 global offerings, right?
It's actually more than that. At any given point, we have about 30 odd dishes on the menu. Our menu changes every month. And, it ranges from the usual Italian, French, and Asian all the way to Moroccan, North African, Lebanese, and the kinds. So we have the really exotic stuff as well. And
so who researches all this for you? You're an investment banker at the end of the day.
The one thing that I learned in my over a decade of investment banking is how to research things.
So while the banks were falling apart,
I was doing my
cooking
research on food as to what food tastes good. And thanks to all the meetings all over the globe that I used to fly for. And the best part about banking, or I would say one of the best things, is you get to wine and dine your clients at some of the fanciest places.
And the banks paid for them. And now we know why.
Yes.
But Vishal, going back a little bit to your early life in London and New York, and you can ask for a more cosmopolitan mix, I presume, in the West at least, Absolutely. In these two cities. So while eating all these different foods, did you ever feel there's a need to string them all together? And for a person who wants something at the drop of a hat, did you ever have that thought while you were banking, or it came much later?
It came in probably the second phase of my career, where I realized that I totally fit in the category of...
So the first phase was only girls and banking. Second phase was girls
banking.
And food.
Right. I was already married when I was...
Hence I mentioned girls.
Exactly. But no, absolutely. I think spending time in a couple of years in London, about almost 8 years in New York, I did get exposed to the rich variety of cuisines, and it could be a hole in the wall or it could be a 3-star Michelin restaurant, but there's just so much food to offer. And that sort of converged with my, the feedback that I would get from my friends, family, even some clients here back in India, where how the whole food scene was changing. But what prompted this really, Cyrus, was that, when I love cooking as well. I'm a big foodie, but I love cooking as well. And every time I used to cook, you'd realize that just for the two of us, it didn't make sense to...
Who's the two of us?
Me and my wife.
Oh my God, I thought it was you and me, and I've forgotten you completely, man. Early Alzheimer's.
I'd love to cook for you. Maybe a hot chef meal kit someday.
Sounds very romantic. I'll take you up on that, Vishal ji.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So you realized... Well, you're cooking this for the two of you?
And then that it just didn't make sense to go grocery shopping, do the planning, decide what recipe I'm going to, or what dish I would
People
cook.
take a day on a Sunday to do this, generally. They take a whole day to do the pre-production of their big meal.
Well, the Sundays were reserved for laundry and the other chores.
The West is such a backward place, Vishal. I've been screaming. The West has got to catch up with us. Knocker nahi hai?
I agree. I was the knocker. Investment banker 5 days a week, and Ramu on the weekends.
Ramu, put it all together.
Right.
Yeah.
And then it just ended up that we would end up eating out. Again, by we, I mean me and my wife. We would end up eating out a lot. And some of it was not healthy. Sometimes you just crave to have a home-cooked meal, but at the same time, something slightly special, exotic, gourmet, if you will. And then we started looking for services where we could only get ingredients that we really need for the two of us.
This is a halfway house. Get the ingredients and then you put your touch on it.
Exactly. So when all if you think about the whole cooking process, the boring part is going grocery shopping, getting the ingredients, looking up for a recipe. The real fun starts when the cooking begins. At least for me, that's how I
And you want the same ingredients that are actually used. You don't want the substitute or another version of the same, because these little things make a difference.
I think that's the most...
I wanted to ask you a question as an expert. When we eat abroad and when we eat here, the same cuisine is absolutely different. Chinese experience in London is very different from Chinese experience in Mumbai.
Right.
Japanese there, Japanese here, Lebanese there, Lebanese here. Why is it? What is the reason? Is that the bread or something? What is the reason?
No, there are two reasons. One is everything here, historically was
It's
Indianized. It was Indianized, right?
Sorry, yeah.
The Indo-Chinese food is not really the authentic
It's Nepalese,
Chinese.
actually. We've got some hybrid, yeah.
Yes. And I think the ingredients, just even if you have something as simple as a tomato caprese salad here versus having it somewhere in Italy, right from the mozzarella cheese to the wine-ripe tomatoes, everything you'll...
So we are using Amul cheese and it's not working is what you're saying?
It is not
Even if you use an
working,
Italian accent, even if Congress comes back to power
it
with
will
their
not
Italian
work.
antecedents?
And it's again just because we as people are traveling all over, we are understanding. Gone are the days when an Italian pasta has to be a cream-based, pasta. People are loving the aglio olio as much and are appreciating that.
But are you a fan of the purebred, thoroughbred version that you've been exposed to in your early career? Or are you okay with all these, localization, let's call it?
No, I'm more in the former camp. I really think that food should be enjoyed the way it's authentically supposed to have. When you visit a place and you are able to experience a particular cuisine, that's what you need to...
So here's my question. If I let's stick with Chinese, which is something Indians know.
Mm-hmm.
If I want to get just a simple fried rice, for example, just a very simple, obvious Indian dish,
right.
Will I get the same kind of fried rice experience I get in the West or rather in London?
Absolutely. So I'll take, extending on the Chinese version, I'll take a Kung Pao chicken, for example, which is...
Why is that so popular? Is it because people like to say the word Kung Pao and they think they're Chinese already? Kung Pao. It's like Kung Fu.
It does sound very exciting. But the one thing I'll tell you, what you get in your typical restaurant here is a ketchupy red tomato sauce, and that's not how Kung Pao is supposed to be.
Isn't it supposed to be very spicy?
It is very spicy. It's more like a soy sauce based sauce that, so we've sourced our recipe, the same recipe that is used in P.F. Chang's, which is one of the largest, Chinese bistros in the US.
Is PF, does it stand for Firoz Shah Framroz?
No, it doesn't.
Damn it!
But I'm sure once they open a branch here,
soon
they'll
will.
have something.
It soon will, yeah.
So what you will get is that authentic experience, or as close to an authentic experience. We import a lot of our products, from our vendors who get these from, like our Grana Padano cheese comes from Italy. Mm-hmm. It's not the Indian version, from vendors that
it sounds Rajput, but for a second, the first half at least. But I was just thinking things like American chop suey, chili chicken. Now these are dishes that belong to India for sure.
Right.
But I actually couldn't find them when I was in, in another part of the world.
Yes, these are purely, inventions that have been made here domestically. They do not exist.
So my point is, the Indian palate ready for your more authentic, sophisticated version of the same food?
Yes, I think it's a combination of two. They're definitely ready for that particular taste, and more so the experience that, hey, 30 minutes if I spend in the kitchen and I'm getting to, cook a meal from scratch, have bragging rights that, hey, I made a Instagrammable worthy meal.
Yeah.
I get to talk about it like, hey, somebody asked me, what did you do over the weekend? I made this pan-seared fish with a mustard beurre blanc. And, things
and these
like
are
that.
just showing off that they know different languages, I feel.
It is some of
It's
that.
like Kung Pao.
I'm sure it gratifies us in different ways as consumers, and that's what we're looking for. Everybody's working hard at the end of the day. Parents are feeling guilty. Are they feeding the right things to their kids? So when we can offer a gourmet, healthy version of a mac and cheese, where they know exactly the amount of and the quality of cheddar cheese that's going in, things like that, they really get satisfied that, okay, I'm checking that box, that I'm a responsible parent as well.
And I think also television is playing a very important role for you guys, because all these shows, both foreign and Indian, are exposing everybody to more and more options, and I think just making people more curious.
Just the awareness, that's a great point. People MasterChef Australia. I mean, think about the
I love
popularity
that.
of that
Why
show.
is that show so popular?
I don't know that, but it's
As
definitely
against the
helping
others.
us. It's definitely helping us because people today are seeing that, and then they see, or the Indian version of MasterChef, that a housewife from Amritsar could win this show. There's no reason why I cannot cook, and we are getting them really to that point that, hey, let us take care of all the mundane tasks while you enjoy the whole cooking process. All we ask for is 30 to 40 minutes in the kitchen.
Okay, let's then understand this Blue Apron. What is Blue Apron?
So Blue Apron is one of the many companies, again, in the US that I was a customer of, which is basically
Is
the
it like
same
transgender
concept.
dressing and stuff like that?
So Blue Apron,
No.
the name was inspired by in at the Le Cordon Bleu in France. Again, we're going back to Europe, but Blue Apron stands for that as a chef, you never stop learning. You keep learning every single day. There isn't like a degree that, okay, you've
So if
done
I
a
wa-
PhD in cooking.
If I wear a white apron, I've stopped learning.
Well, that's something the French will answer.
Maybe I'm a ward boy in India. Because that's,
Could be.
So what's
that's
with
just-
the blue?
That I think that's just a color. That's like, how they have different belts in karate. I'm guessing that's just my own version of it.
I think the French have only one color. Everything is blur. Blur, 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 blur. It's
Just-
all about the blur.
just sounds very
And their favorite
French.
music is the blur. Let's listen to some blurs. Damn it. You don't put a stop to all that.
So that's just a company back in the US which is extremely successful. I was a customer of that. When I started looking for measured ingredients, I came across this subscription service, and I was so inspired. I was happy customer for 18 months, and I decided to start the same thing here in India.
So how does one, just take us through the whole delivery process. How does one, I call you up, then what happens?
Right. So most of our customers, 95% of our customers just visit our website.
Right.
And we do have a call center as well, which transfers it to the kitchen. But basically, on the website is the menu, the current menu, which I said about 30, 40 odd dishes. And then they're all boxes for two people. You get to see a little bit of, a para on the dish, which just explains you, for example, if you're doing a truffle oil infused egg omelette. So we'll talk about truffle oil. We're also trying to educate people as to what are the ingredients that we're
But
using.
are these all available or you...
So we source them from, our suppliers are the same suppliers who supply to high-end 5-star restaurants. So they are available, they get imported from abroad. And it's just that, we only charge for, like, let's say if we are giving you 2 tablespoons of particular oil, that's all we charge for, which is why we are able to offer these at a much more economical rate. But going back to the process, you then select your what dishes you would like to eat. You just add them to the cart, and you select a payment option, either credit card or cash, just like a typical e-commerce portal.
So what if I'm having a party for like 5,000 people? Are you prepared?
We are prepared, and we would obviously accommodate those orders. The only thing is there is a cooking element involved. Our boxes are ready to cook and not ready to eat. So the question is, if you're prepared to cook for 5,000 people, then we are more than prepared.
All right. So what's the response been so far, Vishal? Good?
It's been amazing. People, given the newness of the concept and given my newness of running a food venture, we went a little slow. We started in the first 2 months only with specific areas like Bandra, Juhu, and we started getting so many inbound phone calls that the plan was after 6 to 8 months have a pan Mumbai presence. But in the 4th month, we were already in Mumbai, and we have a lot of I think the most exciting thing is the number of repeat orders that we get from our customers and the word of mouth publicity. Being a bootstrapped venture, I've not really spent money on marketing, but it's the word of mouth that's working really well.
But tell me, what do you think would be the most popular? Is that a right question to ask? What would be the most popular cuisine that you're getting?
It's still, we've had about 120 odd dishes on our menu, which keeps changing, as I said. The Asian one seems to be the most popular. But having said that, given we have that flexibility of trying out with something unconventional, we're trying every once in a while something that's completely out of the box, and people are loving it. I'll give an example. We had a pickle, lychee, and broccoli sandwich. Again, that's been inspired from a hole-in-the-wall sandwich place back in New York, and people just loved it. They were like, never imagined such a
But
combination.
it's just broccoli and bread.
With pickled lychees, marinated lychees, which these are fresh lychees that are marinated in a spicy, mixture, and then it's toasted between a focaccia bread with some peanuts for the crunch and mayonnaise, and it just tastes divine. You have to try it.
Man, I'm all salivating, but I'm thinking of the pickle in the burger. I think the pickle plays a much bigger role than we know. The pickle is like a catalyst.
Absolutely.
In fact, as I told some of the men in the dressing room the other day, it's not the size of your pickle, but what you can do with it, which is important.
True that.
Oh, thanks, Vishal. All right, we'll come back in a second section and talk more about your personal life, where you come from, how you gave up banking, and your father to a newborn baby. So congratulations.
Thank
and
you.
You haven't slept for the last 4 days, but yet you've come here because business comes first.
Absolutely.
So we'll take a quick break. Then when we come back, we're going to discuss the life and times and all that happened to Vishal Shah and why he let go of that multi-million-dollar bonus to serve happy Indians and foreigners all across Mumbai and growing.
Absolutely.
Hey guys, this is Malika Singhania, co-founder of the blog Stylogram, where we cover trends, fashion forecasts, celebrity style, tips and tricks, and lots more cool stuff. So tune in every Thursday to the Stylogram podcast, your weekly style telegram, giving you the latest fashion and beauty stories that are relevant to you. You can also subscribe to our show on iTunes, SoundCloud, Audio Boom, or any other local podcast app. See you soon.
Well, I'm here with Vishal, who's on his 4th glass of red wine. It's because we're recording this afternoon time, and he's away from the little menace, the beautiful little menace that has entered his life, which now means no sleep for you.
Yeah, for the many, coming years or
Oh God,
forever.
Is it boy or girl?
It is a girl.
Thankfully,
it is a
Vishal, get your gun ready, oil it, keep it ready.
It is.
Teenagers are coming soon, brother. You think this is bad? This is just a question of sleep.
Right.
Oh, I can just see your ventures all over the country.
I'm already sweating.
Yeah. There's no amount of Blue Apron that can help us with that one. Yeah. So how does that feel? Just for a second, let's talk about being a father.
It is unreal. It's the whole feeling of, holding your own baby and, all this while you've always made statements like, hey, she looks like you or he looks like you. And now you're
why do we do that? We don't even know, no? It's just something we say.
We say it, right.
Pastime.
And it's going to change every day.
It's terrible, especially when they're holding like the driver's baby and, you say that. Yeah.
But I think it's just seeing a part of you, it's I think.
And all that hard work has paid off.
Oh,
all those years of
part.
hard work in making the baby.
Yeah, the wife had it easy. I did all the hard
I tell you,
work.
these women get away with murder, man.
Totally.
The hard miles that we put in after a long day's work to take the stereotype further. All right. But almost like business and your baby, lucky for you, coming at the same time, double bonus. But we'll get back into the business for the moment. Is this the new world now that we're in? I mean, looking forward, let's face it, everybody's very worried about the internet taking over every single aspect of our lives. It looks like it's going to come true sooner or later. Right. Is this going to be the new dining experience? Will be more about me being able to put together food and calling people over? Do you think that's going to be like the next thing?
It is not going to substitute completely your eating out experience or your takeaway, just calling for a meal from outside, but it's definitely getting more and more prevalent, especially given that we are all getting more health conscious.
But they get the credit, no? At the end of the day, the main thing is you get the credit for your food.
Absolutely.
Even though actually you didn't do anything, you just followed the instructions.
But all you did was, nobody gets credit for grocery shopping. Nobody gets credit for pulling up a recipe off the internet. But what you do get credit for is turning that into a meal, which is what we are making the consumer do. So that's, I think, credit where it's due. And what we obviously are proud of is the freshness of the ingredients, the quality of ingredients that just make it a notch higher. That makes it a truly restaurant quality meal.
Life is about the details, Vishal. I've been saying this to all the young kids out there. People think that life is easy. It's not easy. You can walk from A to B, but it's how you walk, where your steps go, how many people you stamp on, which gutter you avoid, whether the pollution got to you, whether you got hit by a car in traffic, whether the policeman was bribed or not. These important details are what make that walk everything and special.
Absolutely. I didn't have all these. I didn't have to go through gutters and things like that.
Because you were in damn New York.
Exactly. But during my life as a banker, I did, initially when I was a junior analyst and my MD used to yell at me, hey, this is not Arial font 9. I cannot read this. And he would throw the presentation on my face. And I realized that the attention is in the details. Yes, this true story.
He threw the book on your face.
Yeah.
This is what banking was about.
It was. That's what you get the...
I heard they were aggressive, but this is a bit scary.
It is.
Was he an Indian guy?
No.
Foreigner?
It was.
Mark it down to racism, I tell you, and sue the guy for more money than he'll ever experience in his life. Yeah. Let's now go back to your early life, and I want to come back and talk about your plans for the future, because obviously business is booming and we need to see what you're going to do next. Sure. But let's go back to you now. Where did you grow up? You have a sort of accent, so obviously a lot of time in the West, but where was birth?
Yeah, so I grew up in Mumbai.
Oh, excellent.
So spent most of my life here in Mumbai. I studied here, and I'm a chartered accountant and a chartered financial
Aren't
analyst.
you overqualified to be a chef?
Well,
You're a CA.
I'm not a chef, so I'm the guy who gets to taste the dish that my chef prepares.
You are not only a chef, you are an alpha chef because you're putting together all the chefs.
Right. I just get to taste them and then criticize, which I love that thing about my job, and
Yeah.
make this better. But yeah, so I've been in Mumbai all my life, and back in 2003 is when I moved to 2005. Sorry, is when I moved to New York. So I think it's the last 10 years. The accent is
Which
rubbing off.
bank? Which bank were you with?
Citibank.
Oh, they got a record, brother. You've got to be careful.
Yes.
They got a record, yeah. So Citibank, New York, and then London?
And then London was just 2 years in London on an assignment. That was more to
Were
get
you an
my-
investment banker?
Yes.
You wouldn't have slept at all.
Not at all. At least during the earlier, like the first 4-5 years, every single weekend.
I roomed with one in 1994 in New York, Indian
Yeah.
guy. And I mean, I feel bad for him at the end of the day because we wouldn't see him.
Right.
He'd shave first, so the whole place was a mess, and leave at 5:30 in the morning. And then he'd come back at 11:30, 12 in the night, and he'd sleep 4 hours and go back again.
Right.
And he had to work on Sundays because Asian markets were open.
Were open, right.
So
No,
Saturday was his only day off, man. What a pathetic story,
And
except
that's-
the money he made ultimately.
Right. But again, when you think about all that on a post-tax basis, and especially with healthcare going up, I mean, these were some of the reasons that I realized that, okay, I was really passionate about banking. I enjoyed the first
But I
7
can't believe you
years.
threw away an investment banking career thinking that food is it.
I think it was just the passion in me that, I realized that I want to do something that I'm really passionate about, and food was the only thing that came to mind.
Why didn't you start a political party or become a godman? Godman is great. You can make lots of money.
I think I feel I have certain skill sets, and none of these that you describe require any skill sets, so I decided not to
There's no
pursue that.
vacancies. They're all taken.
Maybe
What did the
that-
wife feel about all this? You're in the middle of America, London, New York, all these glam cities, and you telling her that maybe we should go back.
So the reason I'm here, and this may sound a little funny, the reason I'm here is because of her. She's the kind of person who strongly believes you just have one life, you got to pursue your dreams.
So she never blinked.
And she was the one. So I, for almost a year and a half, was exploring what should I do, whether should I take the plunge, and she was like, just go for it. We'll figure out things. And she's a dentist back in the US. She'd started a dental
wow.
practice. So we stayed apart while I was in London. She stayed back. Even here, she just moved 2 months back. So the last 1 year, we were doing back
1
and
minute.
forth.
You've never met her and you have a baby. 1 minute. Stop here. I need to think this through.
It was a long distance baby.
Yeah.
And it worked.
You can't Skype everything, brother. What are they telling you out there?
Haven't you heard about this new technology, Cyrus?
Oh, no, I haven't. But please tell me. I want to spend more time away from my wife. No.
No, so I think she's been the driving force behind, what I'm doing. And she just said something very simple, that the 10 years of banking or your finance experience, no one's going to take that away from you. So, try something, give it 3-4 years. And if things don't work out, we can always...
And what happened to her career?
So she has a dental practice, a very successful one, running back in New Jersey in the US. And
Okay.
so she was there for the last 1 year. She just moved, packed her bags and moved here because, post the pregnancy, we decided we
Right.
have to be together. And we've managed to get a management agency running the dental practice. So we have something that pays the rent for
So
now.
that's running, but she's not actively running it.
Well, right
will she
now-
run something here?
Well, right now she has a full-time gig in the form of the newborn baby, and I'm trying to chip in wherever I can. And, 6 months down, once she's comfortable, then we'll figure out what next.
Also, look, they're linked, dentistry and the food business, because you're going to give them all these sauces, which is going to make people's
Which are gonna
teeth
be
fall
big.
out.
Right.
You don't
And
have to you put the dental sign right outside your food
Exactly.
place.
Only thing, we'll have to make them fly back there.
Oh God, this is the new world. Eat the food in Mumbai, lose the teeth in Mumbai, go back to New York for
Dental
New Jersey for a
tourism.
quick fix.
Dental tourism.
Dental tourism, one step at a time. Let's now talk about this whole foodie experience of yours. So, in Mumbai, were you a foodie? Was this something that you...
Always a foodie.
Were you known? Was Vishal the guy? Vishal,
Yes,
what should
I
we
was the
eat?
guy, exactly. What restaurant should we go to? I used to be there. Even
And-
right now, if it's not just in Mumbai or New York, but thankfully because of all the travels that I've done, if I have a friend who's going to Amsterdam, they'll call me saying, hey, because they know I've been there, what should be the... Because all my travel is tied around food. I don't care if I don't see the Vatican, but I have to go to that pizza place in Rome where, they serve the most authentic
Which
pizza.
overlooks the Vatican, so two for
Which
the
is-
price of
that's-
one.
Yeah, that's a positive, yeah.
Yeah. I want to ask you, with artists, they say that, they love so much that there's always going to be some hate. Every action has an opposite and equal reaction.
Mm-hmm.
So do you have that feeling? Isn't there something you don't like? I mean, you're a universal sort of palate. You've been everywhere. You've tried everything. Is there some cuisines where you're like, oh God, no, personally?
So the thing is, I'm a vegetarian, and there's this one time that I'd gone to a Ukrainian restaurant and tried 3 different things on the menu. Maybe it was just because I was sort of restricted with the veg options, but there's nothing that I liked.
But the gravies were no good? No.
Nothing. It was as bland as it can get, and I just didn't get any taste, just a blob of like mashed potatoes, all I could taste.
So that's like prison.
Yeah, totally. I've not been to one.
So do we get Ukrainian food on the Haute chef?
Not yet, but someday. That's the challenge for me, that I'm going to
United Colors of Benetton, brother.
Yes. I'm going to make Ukrainian food tasty and put it on my menu someday.
Well, what about this North African food, which is suddenly becoming more and more popular, this Moroccan?
Yeah.
I'm not sure. Is it a takeoff from Lebanese or a deeper version of Lebanese food?
It is. I think what distinguishes that more from the Middle Eastern is the kind of spice mixes that they use, like a ras el hanout or a za'atar powder, or these are exotic spices. That's a mix.
But we seem to like it, our palates.
Yes, because it's in a way, because of that spice level, there is a lot of resemblance. We get that sort of fix that we need from the masalas. So there is a lot of resemblance. There's a lot of gravies that are involved. So it comes a lot closer to our traditional Indian
Speaking
cooking.
of the secular nature of food, I remember eating in an Ethiopian restaurant in New York, and the appam, for example, for me was like 1 degree away from back home in Kerala.
Absolutely. So, that was my first, when I had the injera, and I was like, this
Is it called injera?
That's what it's called. The sour fermented sort of
That's
appam sort of
it's
bread.
like a larger version. Yeah.
Larger version,
Yeah.
right. So there's a lot of resemblance that you can find that way, and that's what we want to do. If you see on a restaurant menu an injera, no one's going to try that. But when you explain it and visually show that it's a take on the appam, and you can do some sort of fusion around that, that's when people will be willing to experiment with it.
But it's amazing the cultures so distant, or appear to be so distant, and have a commonality, and the taste is also similar, which I don't know. How do you explain that?
I think that's
Some other Vishal in the past was there who brought these cultures together, and
I definitely hope so. But there's just so much of cosmopolitan societies that are emerging, right? So that's more exposure to, there's such a big Indian continent in the US, and that's why Indian restaurants have been so popular both in Europe and in the US. Clarified ghee, for example, has become a rage right now in the US.
What are you saying?
Yes, people.
They've never tried that before.
They've never tried that, and they're calling
Such a backward society.
You bet. They're calling it clarified butter, and it's becoming a rage.
Which is our ghee.
Which is our ghee. It's
and they call it clarified butter, and it sounds really sophisticated. Arey bhai, come to the Punjab, come to the Gujarat, we'll give it to you for free.
Yes.
But I want to ask you about the reverse, and the whole reverse philosophy, which is what you're doing is getting people to eat different foods, which, as you say, globalization and the internet brings the world together. So they're exposed to it, television. But what about the reverse of getting Indian food out there beyond what I call the Punjabification, the Mughlaification, and the normal Sepuri, South Indian options? But the authentic Indian different cuisines. How about us going and growing there?
Absolutely, growing there by
as in their palates accepting our food.
Yeah, I would leave that to somebody else. But what we are doing,
good Gujarati boy, you figured out your business model, huh?
But what we are definitely doing is focusing on the regionally inspired food. That there's not just Mughlai cuisine and just South Indian. Again, there's so much other cuisines that East Indian cuisine, for example. So we're trying to incorporate a lot of that on our menu. There are things like vegetables that we typically don't cook with just because they don't fall part of our cuisine, but how can they be adapted to a different cuisine? So it's experimenting with those kind of regionally sourced ingredients and putting a gourmet twist around that. There's no reason why you could not have a parwal mixed with mozzarella cheese and make a sort of...
So do we get foreign clientele knocking on the doors?
Absolutely. We have a lot of them, that they're living in these service apartments at the Hyatt or the Sofitel, and they are our regular customers.
So what is the next step then for Haute Chef?
Yeah, so we have had tremendous response in terms of the customer adaptation, the repeat orders. The idea is to just get the word out. We're looking at expanding in a couple more cities before we look for some sort of funding and, take it from there, make it a pan-India.
Couple of cities in India.
But
the world is your oyster now. What difference does it make? It's an online shop.
It definitely is, but just having a footprint. We're not 100% online model. We do require a physical kitchen where things need to be assembled, boxes need to be packed and sent to the customers. So we're going to take one step at a time and, build a brand and then look at bigger avenues.
listen, brother, if you want any help from us, I've got friends in Sawan, and they've got some money, and I'm sure we can put some money in, and we can come to an agreement.
Would love to.
What are you looking at? Give me a figure. Throw figures at me. Hit me.
We'll talk about that.
Give me dollars. Don't get scared. Huh? Give me.
Well, being a banker, I only talk in million of dollars.
Please. The word million sounds beautiful.
Yeah, so only looking for a couple million to begin with.
Couple? Yeah. Come on, yaar. Let's go bigger.
Oh, you're already writing the check. Come on. Thanks, Cyrus.
Yeah, with my left hand. All right. Before we let you go, a couple of other questions. Who is your typical customer? Is there a certain profile that you look at?
So the ideal target profile is the working professional, the guys who have the exposure to these kinds of
Who were you when you were 10 years ago?
Exactly, yes. But just don't have the time to spend time in the kitchen, but are leading a very stressed lifestyle, and are getting more and more health conscious, getting more and more aware about what they're eating.
And also just liking the taste, I presume.
And
some
yes,
level.
because of the
important.
awareness. Absolutely, yeah.
What about women? Is this a stereotypical question to ask you? Do women get threatened? Hey, excuse me, don't tell me what to do. This is my area, and now you're telling me seven things to do in a row.
So the one thing that we've done very categorically is not put your typical butter chicken on the menu. At least to begin with.
No.
At least to begin with, because the value proposition, like my customers, when they open the box, even before cooking, I get a call that, hey, this is great. I would have never gotten that 2 tablespoons of feta cheese that I wanted. So that initial thing that I'm competing with them sort of goes away. What we are doing, we are an enabler that things that you otherwise wouldn't have tried, or you would have paid, expensive bucks at a high-end restaurant.
So tried and tested doesn't come into the viewing gallery at all?
It does come, but it'll come in a twist then. That, we'll make
with
the
special ingredients to make it a far better experience.
To make it that gourmet experience that otherwise, if we won't just give a pita bread with a hummus, we'll give a za'atar powder or a sumac powder as well. That is, again, something very common that when you're traveling to the Middle East, but here you don't find it. And if you go and buy 100 grams of sumac powder, which is the bare minimum you have to buy, that costs at least 5 times of what my box for 2 people costs. And sumac powder is not something that we use on a day-to-day basis.
So I have to tell you, I have to log into how many people are going to need to eat this meal.
So all our boxes are for 2 people. So let's say if there are 5 people, I recommend just 2 boxes, which is for 4 people because our portion sizes are quite generous. And typical meals cost about...
So you're like Arvind Kejriwal. You're giving me even options, but no odd options.
No odd options.
That's what you're saying.
But we're doing it for all 30 days of the month, not just 15 days.
There you go. Taken one step further already. So New York is the global food mecca. London is known... There are 4-5 cities, let's say, who are known to be absolutely, top of the line when it comes to the mix of food. Sure. Are we ever going to catch up? I mean, I know you can do your bit, and there's definitely, enough people in Mumbai love food, but are we going to be there where people in New York will say, wow, Mumbai, man?
See, if you think about the sort of underlying factors, we have those. We have a middle class that's emerging and willing to spend on food. Unfortunately, we do not have a Central Park or a Hyde Park where people can just go and hang out.
Park, eh?
Maybe.
People drive their car quarter kilometer to go running for one round. It's a normal practice.
Right. So what happens is people end up spending their money at the movies or at restaurants. And I think with all that, which is why we are seeing these Michelin star chefs setting up shops here and the kind of money that is being spent on food. So all the factors are there. I think it'll take time, but we'll definitely get there. I'm quite confident.
And you've got your experts in place. It's like the expert is telling us this is the way to do the dish. You had mentioned, I think, Randeep Brar, is it?
So Ranveer Brar,
his brother Randeep, two of them.
Yes. So he designs the Indian artisanal line for us, but all our other recipes.
So they endorse it?
These are recipes by them.
Oh, excellent.
Because I do not have the culinary education, I try to bring my experiences that I've had in the past into...
Can you make up chefs, Vishal? Can I just say this was done by Harpuneet Sethi, who's India's finest cook from Amritsar, but nobody can verify that.
I wouldn't do that. But
come on, it'll be fun. I'll give you names.
We do claim that all our the panel of chefs that we work with
are all alive.
They've all been trained at the Culinary Institute of America. They have a certain standard that because we're trying to recreate that authentic experience,
right?
And we do not want to leave it to someone who does not have that global experience.
Right. All right. And for the future, we're looking at more restaurants, you said? More physical sort of presence?
Yeah, we're expanding our presence to other cities soon and looking at having a pan-India presence over the next couple of years because, 50% of the business is truly scalable because we have the recipes. There's no reason why a recipe cannot serve 8 different cities as long as we have like that hub and spoke model where there's, 2 hubs in South, 2 hubs in North, couple in the west, and maybe one in the east.
All right. Vishal, it's been a pleasure talking to you. We've learned so much. And if I had the money, I would immediately log on and order my favorite Malaysian dish, which is rendang, is it?
That's the Indonesian one, the rendang.
How dare you make me look ignorant on my show?
But the Malaysian one...
What the hell? I thought Malaysian is rendang.
No, that's the
red, brown curry thing.
Right. The Malaysian is the laksa. That's like a yellow curry. And
I went to Malaysia and kept eating rendang. Why didn't they tell me you're in the wrong country?
Are you sure you were in Malaysia?
I was. I pay for the trips. I know where we went. Yeah.
But that's the confluence, right? I mean, they're all next to each other.
They are. And also the problem with the stereotypes is this one or two. It's just like a butter chicken or what you mentioned, the dosas and idlis. Right. They're very strong signature dishes which don't allow you to ever go beyond the surface, beneath the surface, and find out the cuisine of that place properly, thoroughly.
Absolutely. And that's again something that we're trying to do is educate people, because then the next trip you take, you will have that knowledge that, hey, you know, I tried that Turkish gozlemi with... Come
on, give me 10 dishes that I have no idea what they are. And let me guess, because you have all these names and honestly they're like bouncers. I'm just pretending to know. So go on. What is it? Turkish gozlemi?
Yes.
Okay. It's is it a crusty baked dish?
It could be a baked dish, but it's not crusty.
So give me 1 point.
Half a point.
Okay, next. Try me. Another one.
Let's do a Greek style shrimp.
Oh, yeah, it's a shrimp found in Greece. A short guy in Greece, a midget. No?
I wish it was that easy. But that's just cooked in a special tomato gravy, but with feta cheese, more Mediterranean
These
flavors.
Mediterranean guys put cheese in everything.
Everything.
And they live longest.
And they're all lean and...
they're all lean. What is the story?
Yeah.
How can I tell my son not to eat cheese if all these guys live till 90 and never put on weight?
Probably they're not eating the local cheese.
No, it's the recession. They have no money. That's all they got is the cheese. Yeah. Give me one more. Come on.
The nasi goreng.
That I know. That I eat in Indonesia. In Malaysia.
Yeah,
that's the one with the egg and the rice and all that, right?
Yes, that could have the egg as well.
It's a dryish preparation.
It's a dryish in a red sauce.
Yeah, not bad. Come on, give me the point.
2 points for that.
Not bad. Next.
What about a Korean bibimbap?
Okay, boss. Now this is sounding like you're making it up. It's just sounds coming out of your mouth, man. Bibimbap.
Bibimbap.
Is it a barbecue? A barbecue food?
No.
Lightly cooked food, like sparingly cooked.
Yes.
Yeah, I think I've had that also, and they make slivers of it, like less amount.
So the concept, it's a rice bowl, and it's topped with 4 or 5 different. It could be like just a grilled zucchini or some tofu, pickled cucumber.
You're a big pickle fan, huh? Pickle always comes back. Okay, no, I won't take that point. Sure, give me one last one.
All right, a banh mi sandwich.
Pardon me?
A banh mi sandwich.
Banh you, man. Or banh mi. Wait. Culturally, give me a hint.
Vietnam.
Banh mi sandwich. So it's got no bread, right? It's called a sandwich, but there's no bread. It's rice patties?
No, it is bread.
Like dosa?
It is bread with either like pork, chicken, or
Okay,
tofu.
so it's like the dumpling.
No, it's like your typical sandwich actually. So it's just an easy one. It is a bread, but it has special bread.
I overthought it. I thought you gave me this one's will be the opposite of that.
I winked at you saying
you
this
winked?
is an easy one.
I kissed you back. What are you saying? We're going in the wrong direction. Vishal, you've been amazing, and let me tell you that what you've got on hand is growing very, very fast, and I hope one day I can afford it too. By the way, how much but this is a difficult question again, but is there an average price?
No, that's something I talk about it all the time. A typical meal for 2 costs somewhere around 300 to 350 rupees, and I'm talking imported exotic
with all the ingredients.
With all so salt and pepper is the only thing, because I'm actually a Marwadi and I really try to save money.
Right.
So salt and pepper is all that we don't provide, but everything else is included. And that's something that you'd spend in an Udupi restaurant for 2 people or something.
350 is amazing. You're giving me these unbelievably unpronounceable European sounding names. Yes. Just for the name, you should charge $100 extra.
I'll start doing that. That's
yeah, man.
Idea.
Fantastic stuff. And good luck with the child.
It's
going to be a long and glorious innings. Vishal Shah. But before we let him go, there's an AMA time where we get someone to come in and talk to us about questions that affect the entire world, not just the food world. Stay please, Vishal. Here is Amit Toshi.
If you have any questions for Cyrus, write to us on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram. Or you can send an email to whatcyrussays@gmail.com.
All right. Yes, Amit Ji.
Hey, so we got a couple of questions for you. The first one is from Nitin Vagadia, known as Chora Chamkila on Twitter.
Known by himself.
Well,
nobody else wants to call him that.
That's what his Twitter handle is. I mean, it's called Chora Chamkila.
Let's be nice to Twitter. We may need him one day.
Chora Chamkila. Okay, all right, I get that now.
So you spent 5 minutes discussing what Chora Chamkila means in your own mind, and Vishal is sitting there bored. He would have ordered 15 dishes from his own website by now.
I'm sorry about that, Vishal. All right, so Ed Board Barocha, do you listen to podcasts? If yes, then which are the ones you like the most?
Okay, I do listen to them, and to answer that question, I will talk to my expert. Give me 1 minute. Which are the ones I do listen to?
I think you should listen to the Nerdist Podcast. I think you should.
But you'll have to give us a couple of lines on them, no? What are they about?
So the Nerdist Podcast is, it's by Chris Hardwick, who was like Cyrus, an old MTV guy from the early...
Old MTV guy, you bastard!
From the MTV age, right? I mean, from the 90s.
Fair enough.
He used to be the co-host. Remember
God, we sound like dinosaurs. Do you remember when they died out?
No, you remember that show with Jenny McCarthy on it?
Yeah, I remember Jenny McCarthy. My
so the
God,
guy who you don't
Vishal is laughing.
You remember Jenny
He's
McCarthy?
out the food business.
Right. So the guy who you don't remember from that show, that was Chris Hardwick.
Superb. Yes.
And so he does a fantastic podcast where he interviews a whole bunch of different comedians, artists, just the whole... He had Bill Gates on once. I mean, like...
Comedian? There you go.
Well, Bill Gates, yeah. Bill Gates is funny, I guess.
Ask Melinda.
So that's a really cool one that I like listening to a lot. I like listening to Planet Money a lot, which is economics podcast, which I guess is not for everybody, but if you have some sort of an interest in economic issues and things like that, they did a podcast on examining the kidnapping industry in Nigeria and how that functions and why, what are the economic incentives behind it, why people do it. So they do all these kinds of different.
God, this sounds like Inside Job that since he's a banker, a film on how the banking industry mafia squeezed us dry, and his generation is absolutely the one to answer that.
So they did they did an amazing series on the debt crisis and on the housing crash and all that.
The mortgage crash.
One of the really cool things they did was they followed the making of a T-shirt. Right? So, I mean, exactly when a T-shirt is designed, where that designing happens, where the cloth...
Somewhere in China.
No, so the designing happens in the U.S.
And then goes back for labor to Asia.
The cloth, actually, the cotton itself came from the U.S. as well, because that was the highest grade cotton. Then from the U.S., the cotton was transported to Indonesia, where it was converted into yarn.
Where they eat nasi goreng. Lesson learned?
Yes, they do. So, it's that kind of thing. So they do that kind of stuff on it. So that's a really fun podcast to listen to. Another one which I really like, which I think you'd love, actually, it's by this guy named Paul Scheer, and it's called How Did This Get Made? So Paul Scheer is a comedian. I'm sure you've seen him. If you see him, you'll recognize him. He was on Fresh on the Boat.
Yeah.
He's on The League.
He's the bald guy? Yeah, I know him. I know him.
He does a podcast where they look at movies which are kind of crazy, 80s, 90s action movies.
Oh, this is what those two boys do here in India, the two, Kenny and something. They do that with Hindi films.
They
lifted the material from this guy.
Well,
Indians.
Sort of.
Indians, I tell you, I expose them all the time.
But it's an amazing show. I mean, it's really fun. They did this whole episode on, they did a full episode on Bloodsport, the Van Damme movie.
Yeah.
And it was so fun.
Van Damme's entire collection, it's like Rocky Sawant on TV. You need to look at it and, digest it.
That's what they started doing, right? They saw this one movie and they're like, we got to do more Van Damme movies. So then they did Kickboxer after that. They did Hard Target.
They should have gone into the education of Van Damme. Where did he, in Belgium, what kind of school brought this guy out?
So that's another great podcast.
Major drinking problem, by the way. Huh?
Van Damme?
Van Damme.
Okay.
Been in a couple of jails and stuff. Vishal, contribute. You've been in the States, you have to kill time. Did you ever get into podcasts?
Well, unfortunately, due to banking, I never had the time to kill. It was always in front of PowerPoint presentations and client meetings, and I'm not a podcast person.
Well, you should be now.
I should definitely be. Those are great.
We put him on our show. We bend over backwards. We promote the brand, and he tells us at the end, "I'm not a podcast person. I don't like cricket."
Until yesterday.
There you go. Now you're in it. All right, cool.
Anyway, you got 2 more customers for sure.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, no, the stuff sounds amazing. So I mean, I'm definitely gonna check his thing.
No, I honestly think that out there, you can resolve fights in families if you do this. Because what happens is we cannot come to it's very rare that everybody wants to go to the same place to do the same thing.
I'll give you an anecdote. One of my customers just emailed me saying, without me even reaching out, saying, my husband entered the kitchen for the first time. He didn't help me cook, but he was just there looking at.
It's a huge
He called
step.
it the gamification of cooking, right? It's like Lego blocks.
That's a fun way to put it,
And
man.
That's how you get the men in. It's a task that they might enjoy.
to begin with, and
Yeah.
then slowly and gradually, hey, can you just do this? And then the whole 30 minutes is being done by them. That's my
I think it's
end goal.
Your philosophy is spot on, and I think the competitive nature of the beast is such that the man will now want to do more and more, and the woman can sit and watch the game in peace. Finally,
For all you know, yeah.
Change the stereotypes once and forever. You know, what I want to say is that with his thing, we have the option of dividing the food also. So I can get for two people the Chinese, and I get the Japanese for the other two. And the price range will remain the same as if I stayed with the Chinese restaurant. Frankly speaking, I think it will help families come together. So it's a very secular concept.
I like the idea. I like the idea a lot.
Now that we've said all that, we get a 10% discount for life coupon made now.
After you write the $2 million check.
Damn you remember everything. We'll go onesie on this one. Amit?
Yeah, sure. I got a million.
You got one more question?
Yeah, we do. This is a question from Pakistan from a guy named Just Pete.
I don't know how many Just Pete's there are in Pakistan. Maybe Just Preet.
No, but it's just his name is Pete.
Okay.
Hi, Cyrus and Amit. What's your take on Bollywood sweeping the National Film Awards? Was it all to do with Ramesh Sippy leading the jury?
Oh, that's a very good. I didn't even think of that, but maybe he's spotted that one.
Okay.
I'm a big fan of award shows in India. I think it's all about giving your friends and family awards. That's the whole concept of award shows in India.
Bollywood essentially.
But national
friends
awards
and
were supposed to be straight players as far as that's concerned. But this is more like a Karan Johar film caption.
Right.
It's all about handing
It's
over
all
to
about-
your friends and
it's all
family.
about the family.
Yeah. So I think that just maybe that cuts across on all awards, not just in Bollywood.
But but I think this particular incident, right? I mean, like, or not incident, this particular instance.
This year,
this year, it just has to do with their good movies, right? I mean, like, there are good movies out, and that's what won, so.
Well, also the parallel cinema and the capitalist cinema are almost
starting
merging
to
now.
merge,
So it's no longer so strictly,
Right,
we've got this
it's-
actor, 10 lakh film.
It's not like the Smita Patil, Nasruddin
That's
Shah,
all gone. That's all gone.
and
Yeah.
Amitabh Bachchan on the other.
Absolutely, that's gone.
That's not there anymore.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's true. That
Except for
makes
Himesh Reshammiya, no one's sure what kind of cinema he's doing.
He is doing.
That's not clear.
He's doing Himesh films.
He's doing German films. They let him shoot there for some reason. You will shoot, yeah, but you will not sing. They're very clear.
All right, cool. That's all I got.
That's it.
That's it.
Time to call up Vishal and get ourselves some Japanese food.
All right.
If you admire Cyrus's bosoms just like we do, follow Cyrus Says on Facebook and Twitter. And that's what Cyrus says.
All right, time to look at the podcast, Podcast. It's, we have to push the pun from time to time because it's an audio medium. We can't write it for you. Hosted by the DailyPow.com's Purva Mehra, Pranoti Datta and Amit Gurbaksani. The podcast is your fortnightly lowdown on Mumbai's food and culture scenes. Plus, if you pay them money, they'll talk about your family and other animals.
Our podcasts bring all the boys to the yard, and damn right, they're better than yours. But you don't need to stand outside in the yard. Just follow IVM Podcasts on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. We might be on Tinder too. Just go ahead and swipe right.